Because the Shoffs are in my life, my home and my family have been enriched in Torah, in joy.
Because the Shoffs are in my life, I am living a Jewish life, an observant Jewish life, and I don't think I would have done that without their influence.
I am so grateful to the Shoffs for many reasons, but particularly because they allowed me to be part of their family, living in their home for 10 years.
Because the Shoffs are in my life, I have a wonderful life. I have a wonderful wife. I have wonderful children, and I have true purpose in my life. But for them, I don't know where I would be today, but I don't think I would probably be an observant Jew today.
Because the Shoffs are in my life, I'm standing here today and very happy to say to you, wonderful Shoffs, thank you. We love you.
Because the Shoffs are in my life, I have been privileged to grow, to feel that I have a family in LA, and to be close to the Shekhinah because of all the Torah that I have been privileged to hear from them.
Because the Shoffs are in my life, I'm alive.
The Lifetime Achievement Award is not only perfectly placed in honoring my parents, but it's also a wonderful opportunity to share the values and the example that they embody in their own lives with others. My parents are the living example of not only a life of Torah, but a life pursuing Torah, trying to be close to Torah and close to Hashem and to His people. One outstanding quality about my parents is a sort of single-minded pursuit of happiness, but perhaps it's not the traditional American definition of pursuit of happiness, because their idea of pursuing happiness is pursuing Torah. Where can we get another shir? Where can we hear another Dvar Torah, what my mother would call authentic Torah? And so this house has been filled from day one with rabbis and shiurim and malava malkas and just not stopping. This is a home that's open to people who need to learn about Torah, who need a place for Shabbos, who need a meal. My parents' only real desire for the house was that it should be filled with Torah, and the more you could pack in, the better.
My mother was relentless. She never gave up. Her grandfather, his name was Rabbi Elchanan Tzvi Guterman. He was a great Lithuanian rabbi who came to America in the early 1900s. He was the rabbi in Atlanta for a short time, and then for about 60 years in Scranton, Pennsylvania. He was known to be a Torah giant. His closest friend in the world was Rabbi Tzvi Pesach Frank, a very great rabbi, her grandfather. When she was just a young girl, she would always have the cousins performing skits at the Pesach Seder, and she had everybody galvanized, doing everything that she told them to do. And he looked at her one time, and the family remembers this. Her sister used to tell me this. The family remembers how he once looked at her, and he said, "Karen, she can move mountains." And it was prophetic. It was really prophetic. And in her lifetime, she was a very strong force. My father was quietly behind the scenes, doing everything that needs to be done. And it was my mother who, in some ways, was the more, outspoken.
Everybody knows that there are individuals who live the life of the klal, of a community. And Karen and Alan, when PJC and the Venice community was going through tremendous turmoil, the one person that held it all together, inviting Rabbanim, making sure that there were shiurim, with an incredible focus and force, was Karen. And Alan, behind the scenes, was there as a support. But Karen was you couldn't say no to her, basically, you know. And she basically got an all-star lineup of rabbis to come regularly, just by the force of will. And when somebody is so sincere and doing it l'shem shamayim, it's really very hard to say no to them.
I had a number of occasions to give shiurim in Venice, and specifically when there was no rabbi in Venice for a number of years. Karen single-handedly kept the shul going by having classes every Monday night in her house with different rabbis from around the community. Some of the top names, I'm not including the top names, but amongst the top names. And I did it a number of times. It was a tremendous pleasure, and I know she single-handedly arranged them.
Mrs. Shoff was always asking me to help her see that there'd be more and more of Torah learning in the community. I myself used to give shiurim from time to time in PJC and would help the Shoffs find other rabbis or people that would come and lecture. The Shoffs were always very interested in promoting more and more Torah learning and more understanding of what it means to run a Torah home and lead a Torah life.
I don't know, we didn't have a sense of a mission, that somebody stood on a hill and pointed a scepter at us. No, we just figured, you know, this is what's a good idea. We checked with the rabbis, and everybody, they said, yeah, let's do this, you know. Here's some names of people you want to bring. And, you know, I can understand why they would want to honor Karen. You know, but I'm just a lemel mensch, I'm just there, you know.
A few years back, as the result of some medical negligence, at least so we think, my mother suddenly began to suffer tremendously. She understood less and less, and gradually over a few years, she's at the point where cognitively she's almost not functioning. She understands a little bit of what family says to her, and she still recognizes us, but she can't really express herself.
Karen's daughter and her son-in-law, and 5 of their 7 children live here. And so that's been helpful because number one, it's just sometimes just a diversion. Number 2, the kids are really sharp. You know, but it's difficult. You know, it's difficult, and going to Link is good for me because number 1, I get out of the house. Number 2, I daven in a place that's I really feel good there when I daven.
Of course, I'm closer to Karen, but I've learned to know Alan, and in the last almost 3 years I've been close to him because I'm in the house all the time and I'm dealing with him as much as I'm taking care of Karen. He's a real tzaddik. The way he takes care of her, the way he takes care of everybody who takes care of her, the way he deals with family, with people, he's a yashar. He is so gentle, so straight, so thoughtful, quiet, but there's so much to say. So it's such a blessing, such a privilege to be able to be close to them.
I don't know, my position on it is that Hashem is a tov and a meitiv, which means he's good and he does good. So as much as it's difficult for me to figure out, this whole situation is tov and meitiv, it's good. I'm no Talmud Chacham, and I can't figure out what the bottom line is, but I keep telling myself that this is the way Hashem wants it, and you know, don't be so depressed, Nick, you know.
If there's one lesson that my parents would want people to take away from knowing them, it would be that if you want to have a life of joy and happiness and light, go chase Torah. Go cling to the Rabbanim. Their life is a life of Atem hadvekim b'Hashem Elokeichem chaim kulchem hayom. That's what their life is. I don't know if they've thought of it that way themselves, but that's what you see when you look at them. And I think that's what they've always tried to share with everyone around them. Aseh lecha Rav, find your Rav, stick to him. Find the Torah, stick to it. and you will have a happy life.